Steve kind of ruined that for me. I feel like every conference you go to, there's a few key moments where everybody's got their phones up and they're taking pictures of slides. And thanks for putting the QR code up, Steve. And thus setting the bar. Hi, everybody. I'm Eric McCready. I run our digital research at J.D. Power. I see a lot of faces I know. Obviously, I do research in the insurance realm, whether it's claims or just servicing your experience or even shopping. However, those make up 2 small pieces of 19 other industries I measure. I thought it'd be interesting to bring some more outside perspectives, not insurance, but very much adjacent. No, well, actually, insurance. Different kind of insurance, Jake.
half of my job.
So with me, I have Colette. Colette is a managing director at Google.
Salesforce.
William threw me off. I was just Googling him. And you may have heard of Salesforce. I think we all have a good idea of what Salesforce does, or at least used to do. But what Salesforce does now is quite a bit different, right? Or at least more expanded. Mm-hmm. So we're definitely going to get into that. I have Amy Lindas. Amy is the director of research and insights at Cars.com. Amy has been leading all sorts of cool research on how people are shopping for cars utilizing AI. And I think it's no secret, as we've already seen based on these shopping reports, and 13.6 people planning to buy a new vehicle this year. When they shop for cars, what else are they shopping for? Insurance. One impact that they might get on Cars.com, the experience there, they're going to expect that digital experience to start to transcribe across everything else they're doing. There's a transitive property with digital experience, and we see it all the time. If you're interacting with your bank's app 14 times a month, and then you open up your healthcare app or your P&C insurance app, you're really expecting somewhat of that same experience, and that's not always the case, and there's certainly some gaps to make up. That brings me to Jake Baker, Vice President of Technology, Operations Technology at UPMC.
I'm not the whole department, so I just make up part of the department there. So I see on the slide, it's on the digital product management department. Yeah, I'm just one person in that department. I'm not the whole.
That's AI.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the rest is AI.
The rest is AI.
Yeah.
So one of the other industries I measure is healthcare, right? Interacting with your health insurance's app and website. And for 2 years in a row in our Medicare Advantage segment, one plan and their digital experience has absolutely dominated all others, and they are not the biggest by any means. However, they have their members' best interests at heart when they design that experience, and that's UPMC. 2 years in a row, J.D. Power Award.
Yep, 2 years in a row. Thank you very much, Eric. I appreciate that. Yeah, a little bit about UPMC, because I'm probably an outlier here. I am in the healthcare industry. I'm not auto or home or really other industries represented here. But UPMC is one of the top 10 academic medical centers in the country. We are headquartered in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We have over 40 hospitals, 1,000 outpatient clinics. We employ over 5,000 physicians. And we also have a 4.5 million member health plan. So I work in both aspects. I work in both the clinical setting as well as for the health plan. And I'm extremely proud, and I thank you, Eric, and the whole J.D. Power team for recognizing our app and the effort we put into making it what it is. So it's great to be here with you all today.
Great. So Colette, I think I want to start with you. I had mentioned we all know Salesforce, right? And we think of Salesforce as a CRM, some contract management in there. I'm going in there pulling my opportunities, seeing what's closed won. Is that what's Salesforce doing now? I mean, give me some more information.
Yeah, I mean, the heart of the company, it has always been the same and will remain the same. We care about customer relationships. We care about customer interactions. The way in which you facilitate that, the way in which you arm your teams, the way in which you directly engage with customers, that's everything that's been rapidly changing. And I think one of the most exciting things about being at Salesforce is we've partnered across the industry now for decades. We understand the business. We're a part of your teams, but now we have AI embedded, and we've re-platformed our technology so that we can change the actual experience for the employees and the customers. And I think that's really the most exciting part to me as someone who's incredibly passionate about the human experience. how you facilitate that information now, using information, the way in which you surface it up, direct it, drive action, that's what's all pivoting. And I think that's what makes this time in all of our careers incredibly exciting.
So, I mean, you guys have been integrating AI layers across various systems. I think, if anybody uses Salesforce, one of the big selling pieces is it's going to integrate with your accounting software and your maybe your timekeeping software.
That's right. It has to fit into the ecosystem, and I think that's the biggest thing that we all now have to think about, right? Whether we're talking about our core solutions or whether we're talking about our AI agents, they all have to work together. And that's within our walls, and that's outside of our walls as well, because our customers are going to have their own personal AI shopping assistant too, and how our agents talk to those agents, that's what's coming down the line in the future. And so that's what you want to make sure, that you have a system and a foundation that allows you to do and engage. So yeah, at Salesforce, we're incredibly proud of the integrations that we have, and also how we've evolved to allow for that agent-to-agent interaction.
Excellent. That was like the perfect setup for this next piece here. Sean earlier gave an example of an agent, an actual insurance agent, using ChatGPT to compare policies. And this is somebody who's trained in this, they know this stuff, right? There's a lot of industry jargon that your average consumer does not understand. And this is an actual agent doing that, which makes me very much realize, and Steve, we have research on this now, we're gonna publish some more research later this summer, but people who are shopping for insurance are using the same thing. Mm-hmm. There's an opportunity that has not yet totally been seized upon when it comes to the carrier sites and shopping for insurance, to bring in these LLMs, to start to tailor the message, to answer questions. In fact, I can give you some numbers right now, a little early read. Just about half of anybody who's going through a quoting process online at some point wants to speak to a real person. It's half of them.
Yeah, and Eric, if I could talk to that point, I think what's really interesting is the way the consumers are using AI to prompt a conversation before they actually get to a customer service agent. So part of my responsibility is I have the telephony and CRM systems, which are member management, patient management systems within the organization. And what we're seeing is an influx of folks calling us and saying, I would like to discuss my insurance plan, or I would like to discuss what my out-of-pocket is, or how much this service will cost. And they're prepared with information that they get from AI, from the consumer market, right? So we at UPMC have tried to figure out a way that we can position our internal representatives and our internal staff to have an informed conversation using the same tools, right? If someone presents on a phone call and they're saying, hi, I want to talk about purchasing an individual family plan with us, and here is what I know. There are 5 other insurers in your area, and they all have lower rates. Why? Right? We need to be able to respond to that and say, well, here's why. Right? So with that prompting, that ambient listening, using things like AI to prompt the conversation or response has been very beneficial to us at UPMC.
And the AI tools, when it comes to shopping, are becoming more and more pervasive, not so much in the insurance industry, and we're starting to see more ancillary or adjacent industries start to fill that gap. I'm from Michigan. 5 years ago, they got rid of the required unlimited PIP. And I forgot when that was, and I just went to Google to ask. And it told me, it was in 2020, and, by the way, are you looking to lower your insurance policy by lowering your PIP? Like, that was the next suggested piece on the AI return. Mm-hmm. So already starting to fill that gap a little bit. In adjacent industries, shopping for a car, another incredibly complex product, maybe a bit more tangible, and as we had heard earlier, maybe a little bit more exciting, right? Nobody wakes up saying, yeah, I'm going to shop for insurance, but... But still, incredibly complex. We need to compare, we need to drill down, we need to go through the hierarchy to figure out exactly what's going to fit our needs. And that's really where Cars.com is coming in. So you have your kind of search AI-enabled agent when it comes to finding inventory. Carson?
Yeah.
Carson?
Yeah, so we launched Carson about exactly a year ago. And the thing that Carson's really kind of filling for our shoppers is we have over 70% of shoppers coming to the site that are undecided on make and model. You land on the homepage, and the first thing that you have to do is select a make and model. And so for an undecided shopper, that's a bit of a deterrent. So now with Carson, you can say, I'm looking for a third row SUV that can fit 3 car seats, has towing capacity of 3,000 pounds, heated seats, heated steering wheel, all of that. And it will surface the relevant results for that shopper instead of, trying to figure out, okay, well, I'm interested in this make, maybe undecided on model, and then selecting all of those filters. It can get really cumbersome. So, it just makes sense that these shoppers that are undecided, which is the majority of our traffic, would gravitate towards a more natural language way of searching for vehicles.
And now I know you've done a ton of research on this and how people are utilizing AI to shop, particularly for a complex product. Any cool little tidbits coming out of there?
Yeah, so people are mainly using these AI tools to compare vehicles, and if you think about it, it can be really hard to compare vehicles. You can go to an OEM site and you can pick, a make model, and you can kind of compare trim levels within an OEM site. But if you think about the used market, that becomes a lot more difficult. You're just comparing by bringing up different web pages. So now you can do that all within an AI search tool. So they're using that to compare, makes, models, trim levels. But the best thing about Carson that we've seen is we're really capturing these undecided shoppers and keeping them engaged on the site. So people who use Carson are 3 times more likely to return to the site. Then we're seeing higher conversion rates from a search results page to actually going into that vehicle details page. Almost a 30% increased conversion. And then the best part about it is we're seeing them submit leads at a rate twice those of shoppers not using Carson on the site. So we've got much higher engagement. And the last session spoke a lot about confidence, and buying a car is often a scary thing. Am I getting a good deal? Is this dealer reputable? These are sorts of things, we can surface dealer reviews, all of this information, we can surface our deal badging and help shoppers feel more confident. I think that's really important with any big purchase, whether it be an insurance policy, a car, or a home. You want to feel confident, and a car can be really exciting, so you want to feel good about this purchase. And so now we're able to help instill some confidence in those undecided shoppers.
I also think, piggybacking on the last session where we were talking about, in a Google search, it used to just be a couple words, small pointed questions. And now with AI, someone's spilling out their life story into it, trying to have the machine, bring all the answers. And I listen to your story and I think, wow, with every single bit of detail captured in that moment, and knowing that they're going to generate more leads, and knowing that they're going to come back, what do you do with now all of that information that you can capture, organize around a profile, and then action at a later time so that when your customer returns to you, they feel like you know them.
Right.
And that is the massive opportunity also when you're engaging with the technology in this way and all the additional context in which you're creating. What can you do with that context, and how do you apply it to reshape the experience?
Yeah, we're working on a project of utilizing that data, creating personas to make a more personalized experience. But you're absolutely right, because then, I think we're past the point of getting creeped out about it, because me personally, take all of my information. If you're going to make my life easier and read through my emails and put, meetings in my calendar, and I'm all about it, remind me about things, I'm all for it. So, I think, having that experience on the site where you feel like, oh, they understand me. They're surfacing relevant results, and this feels right versus, it gets frustrating when you ask something and you get results that have nothing to do with what you asked, and, you can just bounce to another site, because, okay, I'm done here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a great point, right? Frustrated with either no results or minimal results. And one of the challenges when it comes to shopping for anything, and people start leaning on more public free-facing ChatGPT, for example, are Waitings at places. So let's say I was shopping for some new gutters, right? And hey, ChatGPT, I need some new gutters. What's going on? Who should I go with? And it's like, oh, you should go with X, Y, Z. Don't go with company A, though, because apparently they punch people in the face. All right. 3 years ago, as GPT was scraping Reddit, somebody made a post that said this gutter company person showed up and they punched me. It got a lot of engagement, and now that shows up in the results. You can't tune that message, right? When it's scraping the internet, it's not just facts that are being brought in. It's social media posts. It's people's opinions. It is things that can be embellished, things that go out of way. So controlling that message really is only possible through your own tools.
Yeah, we talk a lot about, we talk to our dealerships about, their reputation and ensuring that they're maintaining their digital presence and their reputation, because now, people might not always think, hey, I'm really interested in this car, but how reputable is the dealership? I better read some reviews on the dealership. But now that information is being surfaced along with your search results. So it's really important to maintain your relationship and make sure that, you have a satisfied customer base.
Yeah, I'll say I'm incredibly jealous of the consumer industry's use of AI. In healthcare, we are handcuffed to great levels about how we can use this technology. What I will say, though, to that point about dealerships or reputations, we have that issue going on right now with our physicians. People are going out and posting messages about something that may have happened during a visit. Could be as simple as I showed up 10 minutes early and I didn't get seen for 15 minutes after my appointment, and they go on a tirade about timing and things like that. And it's detrimental. I mean, when you look at when you're searching for a doctor, how many of you actually use your insurer's website or Google? Right? Probably Google. You probably Google your physician and see what the reviews are. So that's something that we are mindful of and doing our best to manage. We do partner with companies who help try and filter out that noise and use statistics to say this is a real review versus this is somebody who's just angry. And so it has a lot of benefits for all the reasons Amy stated about, reminding you of your appointments and things like that, and maybe finishing or helping you finish your pre-appointment visit documentation, things like that. But when it comes to other areas, it could be problematic for us, for sure.
Well, don't be too jealous, Jake.
I am. I mean, we are. When I say we are handcuffed and regulated with the use of AI in healthcare, we really are. With the state of Pennsylvania specifically, the PID, which is our insurance department, they have, I lost count how many pages, but documentation of what we have to do as a health insurer to govern the use of AI. What is acceptable use, what is not, what records can be accessed when they can't, and also if a consumer asks, what did you use AI for? And I want to know how you use my data. We have to be able to reply back and say, this is how, and this is what we used it for. And that we have express written consent to do it. So that is probably a big, differentiator between us and retail is, folks freely use AI in retail to help them for all the reasons that we've mentioned. If we use AI in healthcare to help you in your experience or your visit, we have to tell you that you're using AI and you have to consent to it. So there are some barriers for use for us, and it gets challenging.
I mean, you may say barrier, but I also I hear advantage. And the reason I hear that is I don't want to go to a doctor who's treating me because they're using AI, right? I want to know that any tools being used are validated, verified, trusted, grounded in the expertise. And I think that that's as designers of our own systems within our own companies, those are our jobs. How do we make sure that the privacy, the guardrails, all of that is there so that you can support your employees to doing their best work, but still giving those trusted experiences. We can't control all the things that our consumers are experiencing, but when they show up at whatever point in which they show up at our door, we need to show up our best, and these tools help us do that. But I do think being in a regulated industry means that we are doing it with such finesse and discipline that it gives us the ability to cultivate those deep trusted relationships that keep your customer base strong.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I hope so. I hope we get there. We got a little bit of work to do to get there, but we'll get there, I think.
What about outside of actually providing healthcare, right? Think of more just servicing their plan. Do you have any type of AI integration?
We do. So we're not using agentic. We're not really permitted to use agentic, unfortunately. But we are using generative AI to help with customer service. So industry is complicated, especially healthcare is complicated, especially insurance and healthcare is complicated. What is my deductible? What is my co-insurance? What is my out-of-pocket max? What is my tier 1 deductible, tier 2, so on, so on, so on. It's so complex that sometimes us that work in the industry don't even know how to explain it, right? But technology can very well. And so what we use is we use our own framework. We partner with Microsoft and we use their Azure products, and we have isolated our own standalone environment within UPMC to help service members and patients when they call in or they use our digital tools and want to chat with somebody. So if you use our tools today, your first chat is going to be with an agent. It's going to be a virtual agent. It's not going to be a person. And we ask prompting questions, and we prompt engineers to say, how can I help you today? What are you calling about? And Eric shared a fascinating statistic with me that, what was it? How many visits to the app is just for the ID card? How many? 7?
It's like 9 out of 10 times somebody opens their insurance carrier's app, it's to get the ID card.
And that's true. But what we're seeing is because of this technology, we're seeing a swing into other areas, right? So, for example, explain to me my EOB. Technology can do that very easily. It can go in and say, this is what this means, this is where you're at, and this is the spending. How much is my copay for an ER visit? It can do it in seconds and say, it is $250, however, you may have hit your out-of-pocket already, so it's no charge. Or you've hit your deductible and it's $250 copay, whatever it might be. It can do it very quickly. So what we saw is when we implemented our technology, and it's been live now for, 6 years now, I think. We've refined it over 6 years. Is we started with very simple question and answers. What does this mean? Here's your response. Can I help you with something else? Very simple. And we took a little bit of the guardrails off though, and with the new AI models that generative AI models that we can actually allow it to be conversational. So explain to me what this means. Why is it this way? And we've seen a reduction in our calls to our call center because of it, upwards of 30%. And that's significant when we have over 6 million calls per year, right? That's a lot of calls. So it's given us freedom to reposition, the way that we service our patients and members, how we use our staff differently, reskilling them, moving around in different areas. And so we are going to scale AI. We will. We just got to do it safely.
The intangible products are, and Steve had actually mentioned this earlier, from the AIS study, and the most important thing when it comes to retaining business and improving customer satisfaction is making sure somebody understands their policy. And we have seen the carriers' websites and apps evolve to really help that. I see Michelle over there. I think Travelers did an excellent redesign of their policy page a couple of years ago to really help you understand what's covered, when it's covered, drill deeper when necessary. And for the most part, that's where we've seen the industry go. I am a older millennial, but I identify as Gen Z. and I had a chip in my windshield, and this is a true story. This is a month ago. I had a chip in my windshield, and I have a smaller carrier, and really all I get is this big old PDF that you can actually feel the weight of the digital file. Your phone gets heavier when you download it. But I gave it to ChatGPT. I said, hey, I have a chip in my windshield. Am I covered? Because I am not reading through this whole thing. By the way, do not cite any external sources, please. And it came through, it's like, yeah, you have it's free if you got a chip. If it's a crack, then you're gonna have to pay your deductible. And so I went ahead with it. But my only other option was reading through that PDF. And this is one of those relatively easier use cases to where we're not opening up agentic AI. It's a RAG model, right? All we're doing is pulling on the information we already have and we give the customer and making it that much easier for them.
I agree.
And you've been doing it for 6 years.
6 years, yeah. I mean, our first install, I won't talk too much about it. It was a lot of learning, I can tell you that. It was not agentic and nowhere near generative, but it did do a good job. So.
Really, one last thing for you, Amy. I should have hit on this when you said it, but one thing that piqued my interest is those who interact with Carson with the AI doubled the leads to dealers?
Yeah. So like I said, I mean, when we're surfacing a methodology of searching for vehicles that fits their preferences and their needs, they're more likely to go through that entire funnel. And so, yeah, twice as many leads among our Carson users versus non-Carson users on the site.
And when we define a lead, is it a click to the dealer's site, or are they filling something out?
Yeah, they're providing their contact information regarding a specific vehicle for a dealer to follow up with them.
So, I mean, they're giving up. I mean, they are willing to sacrifice an inbox.
Yeah. And, the vast majority of visitors coming to our sites are not willing to give up that information. But I think it really goes back to that confidence. When you feel good about how you're searching and you feel confident in the results that you're getting, that this is the right vehicle for me and I want to go test drive this vehicle, you're more willing to give that information up.
That's like, if I could just put that on a chart and start presentations with that. I mean, I'm a little jealous. I want to bring a business case like that to work one day, but that's great. We have just a few minutes left, and I want to make sure that in case there are any questions for any of our panelists.
Yeah.
I see one over here. There's a switch on the bottom of the mic, Mark. Thank you. It's a tiny, tiny switch.
How's that? All right. And this might be a question, Eric, for you as much as the rest of the panel. The comment was made earlier that I'll call it general AI searching can bring in anecdotal evidence, emotional evidence, even false from social media. But what about the flip side and consumer trust that if I go to a company's website and do a search, the results are going to be skewed to benefit the business? And like, not saying anything is true, but like cars.com, how do I know you're not getting a kickback to lead me towards certain brands? Or an insurance company. So what does the research say, and then what's the panel's opinion on that?
Eric, I could take this.
Oh, please.
So we actually asked this question in a recent study, and 62% said that they do prefer like general AI search tools versus those embedded within a site because of exactly what you had just said. They feel, so number one is trust. Number two is they feel they'll get more comprehensive results utilizing a general AI tool. The biases, we really dug into biases, and we didn't see it as prevalently as I thought it would come through. We asked the question straight up, like when Cars.com surfaces results, who do you think the results are favoring? Is it you? Is it the dealership? Is it Cars.com? And it was kind of split, along with the fourth segment of the pie being, I'm not really sure. So people are still trying to like figure out, like, is there a gimmick to this? Like, are there motivations for, the private companies to be utilizing this? But I think that the more people utilize these tools and the more they see the benefits, the more trust that they have that they're surfacing actual relevant results. I mean, for now, like I said, the majority, and it's not a huge majority, like I said, 62% said that they favor general AI tools. But I think that we'll start to see that shift and, even out among private company versus general AI tools.
Yeah, the real tough part, I think, with general AI tools is you don't know when it's wrong. Yeah, we have the citations with the links, but you don't know. And if you take that at face value, and Sean had given the example earlier with one of his agents using it, and it completely missed a point in the policy. And in the insurance industry, that's the value, right? Every little line on there makes us worth more money, and when we miss one, it's pretty detrimental.
Yeah, you bring up a good point for that 38% that did prefer the site-specific agentic search tools. One of the reasons they preferred was less hallucinations. Like, it's not going to make up results. So that is a valid point.
I would also say if you're architecting your own solutions, you're making the decisions around which data signals to use to drive which interaction. So like Jake, when you were talking about your examples, Like when you guys started off, you were just answering very concrete, common questions because you could control it, you could predict it, and you could predict the outcome. And I think that that can still hold true, and you can still leverage that information. But like the quoting example, when someone says, oh, hey, I've gone halfway through the quoting process, I changed my mind, I don't want to do this online, I want to talk to someone, you don't want that person to repeat themselves. And so you want those signals used in maybe your telephone interaction and not your digital chat interaction. So I think that's also what you have to think about as you're going through these situations, which data to use in which channel, for which interaction.
We should have made the panel an hour, because I could talk about bias and drift and all of that. But I know we're out of time here, but it's something that is real and something that has to be managed by every organization. You have to manage AI like you manage your staff, period. So thank you, everyone.
Jake, Amy, Colette, thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.